What's up, you guys? It's Layla Lynn, and I'm back with another video on the unfortunate fallout in the wake of the passing of Malcolm-Jamal Warner, who we all knew as Theo Huxtable, most notably known as Theo Huxtable from The Cosby Show. He did not have an updated estate plan at the time of his passing, unfortunately. And now the worst that could happen is happening. Like, his mother and his wife are arguing about his estate, which I'm sure was never his intent. So we're going to get into the details of his widow's interview with Gayle King this morning. A lot of people are saying that it's a calculated move for her to interview with Gayle King, knowing she has this lawsuit coming. Gayle King says she knew nothing about the lawsuit until it became public just a few days ago on Monday. And so in this interview, she doesn't directly ask her about the lawsuit, but she does ask her some interesting questions about her moving and about Malcolm's mother. And I feel like if you put two and two together, his widow is scared that his mother is going to sell the house she is living in. She is scared that she is going to sell the house from up under her. You know why? Because Malcolm-Jamal Warner and his wife Tenisha Warner lived in two homes, one in California and one in Georgia, and the mother sold the house in California. USA Today reports Tenisha Warner accuses Pamela Warner of using her power as trustee of Malcolm's 1996 trust to sell their first family home in Studio City of California, despite her objection. So we're going to get into all of that in this video. But first, if you're watching, if you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, go ahead and subscribe to this channel and my crime channel, Crime in Context with Layla Lynn. All right, you guys. So let's just start here because I feel like this is when the interview actually got emotional. You know, Gayle King asked her because this is the home they're in. If you notice, they're not in a studio. She didn't come to New York to get interviewed by Gayle King. Gayle King came to Georgia. And in the interview, she mentioned, "Thank you for coming to my home." And so that's when Gayle King started asking her about the memories in the home and would she ever move? Does she still see him in this house? And that's when her emotions first cracked. Like, you could see where she was being strong, but that's when she started crying. She said, "Do you ever think about moving?" And Tenisha basically said no, but this is when her tears started to erupt. And she started talking about his presence being in the home, his daughter having memories with him in the home, and how she doesn't want to leave the home. I think that's the bigger issue here. Now, why the mother, Miss Pamela Warner, would sell the first house in California, we don't know. We don't know, and I don't want to speculate, but I think that's the bigger issue here. So, as far as his estate, when he passed away, again, it was not updated. His estate plan was not updated since 1996. And the estate plan was as follows. According to USA Today, 70% of his assets were left to his mother, 15% were left to his father, who has since passed away. So, Ms. Pamela Warner has lost her husband and her son. And then 15% of his assets were left to his sister. And that's according to the legal petition filed by Tenisha Warner. And she explained that the fund was established before the actor met her. This was 1996. He didn't meet her until around 2015. So almost 20 years later. And it excludes any adequate financial support towards her and their daughter. And she said this was not Malcolm's intent. I know we've had a lot of debate in the comments, but I think we can all agree it wasn't his intent for his wife and his daughter not to be taken care of. But it seems as if, for whatever reason, he just never updated his estate plan. Now, we've also had conversations about their prenuptial agreement. Now, mind you, this is what they both agreed to, but people were saying it sounded like a business agreement. And I just want to tell you guys, in my opinion, the reason it sounded like a business agreement is because she has a PhD in clinical psychology. So she has the potential to have high earnings. And the legal petition states that Tenisha Warner and Malcolm-Jamal Warner agreed that she would stop working to be a stay-at-home primary caretaker for their daughter Mackenzie, while he served as a breadwinner through his acting and music career. And so what she asked him for in the prenup, and he agreed to, was to replace her income as a clinical psychologist. So that was $5,000 a month as his chief of staff, and then a $16,000 yearly bonus. So that's a total of about $76,000 annually that he promised her in the prenup. And if you look, I went on ChatGPT to see how much a clinical psychologist would make in Georgia, and they typically earn around 86,000 to 93,000 per year, or roughly 7,200 to 7,700 per month. So what she asked him for and what he agreed to pay her since she stopped working as a clinical psychologist was actually less than what she would have made likely if she was in practice. So the reason it sounded like a business arrangement in the prenup, because it is. Now, his mother, if you watch my video yesterday where I covered what his mother said in a statement, she talked about being in business with Malcolm for 40 years. And it seems that she may not be realizing that her son also had business with his wife. That's what it all comes down to, if you ask me. Now, this is from the comments of the video, someone said CBS may not have known about the impending lawsuit with Malcolm-Jamal's mother, but the wife knew, and she knew what she had already set in motion. The interview seems like a calculated move to appeal for sympathetic support from his fans. Now, it may have been a calculated move, and her attorneys may have advised her to do the interview for public sympathy. That may be true. But sometimes a calculated move is not the first move. To me, it sounds like it is in response to this. It is in response to his mother selling their first home. And so their first home, it seems as if he obviously purchased it before he met her. And again, that was in California. Their home in Georgia, we don't know if he purchased that before he met her too. Like when they moved in together, when they got married, they may have moved into a home that he already owned. They may have moved into a home that his mother owns. It could be a situation, if you watch Real Housewives of Potomac, it could be a situation like Candace and her husband, where Candace and her mother own the home, and then her husband moved into the home. It could be a similar situation where Miss Pamela Warner is the owner of the home that his wife, Tenisha Warner, lives in. It could be, but we don't know at this point. Someone else said, so I'm conflicted about who is the greedy one. And the word greed is from his mom's statement. This is not just out of, picking out who's greedy and who's not. It's from his mom's statement. And if you missed my video on that, I'll put a link in the top right-hand corner. This person said, typically grandmothers want what's best for their grandchildren, regardless of what the estate is or says. Why isn't grandma saying, here is X dollars for my grandbaby? Now, I think that's the problem. If the grandmother gets to choose how much the grandbaby gets, I think that's the problem. But I understand the sentiment. It's just that the amount, I don't know if that should be left up to the grandmother or if that's a legal issue that has to now be settled by the court because he didn't have an updated estate plan. So you guys, this is my thought about the situation based on the published facts regarding his mother selling the first home and the fact that the wife, Tenisha, wanted Gayle King to interview her in the home. And when her face broke during the interview, it was when Gayle King asked her about moving out of the home. It leads me to believe that she is scared that the mother-in-law, Malcolm-Jamal Warner's mother, may sell the home that she lives in. She may not own the home she lives in. That's my thought. Y'all leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts. Again, we are going to keep up with this case. I'm sure at some point, Miss Pamela Warner is going to release a statement or do an interview as well, an additional interview. But y'all leave a comment. Let me know what you think. As always, thanks for watching.